Just to expand what Gabriel was asking John Stones there, because France didn't win their group and they were runners-up. France, Portugal, Spain and Germany are on the other side of the draw to England. Had England come second, they would have played the Germans in the last 16. And when they kicked off against Serbia, obviously they're thinking they're desperate to win the group. They've done that. It was a bit plodding at times. It was a bit uninspiring at times. Is this a glass half full, glass half empty look at it? What would you say about what England have done at this group stage?
Look, the objective to get to the knockout stages is obviously very, very important. But I've always felt you need some sort of momentum going into it. I think there was enough today, especially in the second half, to give them the encouragement that they will face a stronger opponent. I mean, Slovenia was a massive effort tonight. They knew a point would get them through, so they weren't really intent on any sort of attacking options there. So it kind of made the game a little bit simpler for England in the second half, but that's going to be a different challenge come the knockout stages. So I think they've got a few days to work on that now, and I think Gareth's got a bit of thinking to do around what kind of lineup he puts out.
Well, has it crystallised a little bit? Alexander-Arnold hasn't worked. Gallagher hasn't worked. Mainoo did work. Has it crystallised some decisions for him for the last 16 game?
I'm certain Mainoo will start in the next game. He thought Gallagher may be the option, obviously, for the energy we talked about before the game, but I think it was quite obvious that we needed someone in there who would get us playing, and Mainoo does that. I think Wharton's capable of that as well. I think the more substitutes we made, the more we looked, well, less rigid we looked. We looked so basic in the first half. It was a struggle to watch that. It moved forward a lot in the second half. We didn't get the result, but there were sort of glimpses of what we can be.
Yeah. What did you think, particularly with those substitutions, as to what sort of team he might put out in the last 16?
Yeah, you would have thought so. I think Mainoo obviously looked very comfortable out there. But the one I'm always excited to watch, I think Palmer certainly has that X factor. I know we were saying, why didn't he come on maybe the first or second game? But when he came on, every time he gets the ball, you think something's going to happen. So there was certainly a bit more flow to their game in the last 15 or 20 minutes, but still no end product. They didn't really test the goalkeeper. But there's one or two positives, obviously, with the clean sheet. But again, we go back to it. They need to show a little bit more quality in the attacking areas. But I do love Palmer. I think he's an amazing player.
Well, being a striker, what is it that Palmer does that as a striker would get you excited?
He's looking to get it into you. Anytime he gets on the ball, he's looking to put that ball forward. He's looking to progress it. He's looking to go forward. He's looking to play 1-2s. You know, he's a progressive player. You know, he wants to get forward. He wants to create something. You know, I'm starting to think, you know, I saw a stat about Kieran Trippier being our second most productive player, touches and passes. I'm feeling, are we going to get Palmer into the team if that's the case? And if that's the case, with our naturally left-sided Saka is, maybe can you put Saka at the left back and put Palmer on the right-hand side? Simply because we need to get some balance and get some fluidity in the game.
What is it that a coach loves about Cole Palmer?
Just exactly what the lads... Every time he's got the ball, he's looking to eliminate oppositions. Yeah, so whether that's individual players or lines of the opposition, every one of his incursions takes somebody out of the game. And that, when you have a player like that, irrespective of how the opposition's set up in a defensive sense, he will always find that gap, he will always find those spaces. And
he's that disruptor, is he? Then? Yeah, he moves the pieces around the board.
His first thought is, how can I eliminate one of the opposition or a line of the opposition? Yeah. And those kind of players are rare. And I said before the game, I know that they spoke about protecting the young players. I don't think they need protection. I think they just need to be thrown out there to play.
I don't think he needs protection at all, does he? He strikes me as a sort of, who are we playing today? OK, that's fine, no problem at all.
No, I think
that sort of character.
You mentioned Trent Alexander-Arnold, talking about Cole Palmer, Bellingham, Saka, Mainoo. These are massive, Foden, massive talents, huge talents. And we really can't mishandle these talents. We really will regret it. I think Gareth will as well. So I think, look, all I would say ahead of Sunday is that these lads are there staring him in the face now. They've come on in the second half. They've improved us enormously. There are the best technical players, the players who look the most comfortable on the ball and make us look like a team. I mean, we look so... I'm going to say basic again in the first half, that's being kind. You know, that's the rigid England that we've seen in every single tournament going back for 20 years. That second half looked like they were playing with a bit of flow.
Would you want to mark Palmer?
No.
You wouldn't want to play against him.
Because you'd worry about where you had to go because he moves so much.
Because he's so unpredictable and he can beat a man, he go left and right. And what a lot of brilliant players, they affect the game. When he came on, you knew he was going to affect the game. We knew when he came on with 20, 25 minutes to go, we'd be talking about him. Like, every time he got it, and I'm looking at him, and I'm hard to impress, I'm thinking, something's going to happen. Every time he gets the ball, you think something's going to happen.
Didn't play enough to avoid the warm-down, did he?
No.
Still had to do that.
Box to box,
The thing with him is that his attitude towards it, it wouldn't make no difference that he's coming in at the stage he's coming in. You know, he'll still just come in and just play. We've seen how he's played at Chelsea For low that season, it was very chaotic. He's just come in and just bam, just.
He'll think he should be in. He'll think he should be in that starting 11. He's not thinking, you know, I'm learning. I'm glad to be here. He'll be looking at Gareth, and Gareth will know that. That's what the big players doing. The big personalities going, get me out there.
He thought he should be the Man City starting 11. That's why he left, didn't he? Because he thought I should be in this team.
We're the only country in the world that asks where will we fit this player into our team. Not this player, but any player of that sort. We're the only country that do it regularly. Well, how are we going to get him in? Where's Bellingham going to play? How are we going to get Foden in? Where are we going to get Palmer in? Every other country seems to get them in. We struggle to get them in. We have to get them in.
So it's really a question to a head coach, and Roy and Gary, you've been head coaches as well. When you've got a plan and you've got a system and you've got players, and Alexander-Arnold go, well, that hasn't quite worked, but I still quite like the feel of it, so I'm going to put Gallagher in, and that doesn't work. How hard is it to... I suppose the question is to swallow your pride and go, actually, I need a different sort of play.
I don't know if it's swallowing your pride, because, I mean, I think Gareth said he actually felt it did sort of work in the function he wanted to. He wanted a more aggressive press and made logic... You know, it was a logical decision to put Connor in there, but then he said he wanted more sort of impetus in with the ball, so then Kobe becomes a much more viable option. So I don't think it's about that. I think it's about having a real clarity of thought as to what you're trying to build towards. And I think the interesting thing he said there, and it's always a tough one with young players, that your nature as a coach is to try and ease them into things. But every now and then, there's a young player that comes along, or young players, they're just bashing the door down, and you've just got to let them through and let them go, because not all young players are going to be able to take that step. I'm sure 12 months ago that Mainoo, Wharton, Cole Palmer were not in Gareth Southgate's top 40 players for this Euros. They could end up being the key players. Yeah.
There should be a clarity of thought now, though, picking up on what Ange said. There should, after that, be a clarity of thought about the midfield positions, surely.
Yeah, I mean, the midfield positions, but also the fact that we've got Pickford, we've got Stones, Rice and Keane down the spine. So we've got an experienced spine. So actually to have those young lads around them is really helpful. So I don't think it's a problem to play them. In the midfield, I think, you know, it was pretty obvious, I think, that in the first two games we couldn't get control of the ball in a way which was going to help us get through this tournament. And Kobe Mainoo has provided, I think, a far better solution in the second half of that game than the other options that have been used so far.
Yeah, because it was always England's worry. That's why you talked about it. If somebody like Mainoo wasn't playing, or Wharton, how England would progress the ball up the pitch.
Yeah, but I think by the end of the game, I think we'd all be surprised if Mainoo doesn't start the next game. Again, you throw a player in and eventually you go, listen, the players ultimately pick the team, because when you go out and perform, you go, listen, and he'd be under huge pressure to play Palmer next, because they came on and affected the game. And Gareth made a good point there. He says sometimes football and finding the team is hard work, and they're struggling to get that flow of the game. But they're keeping clean sheets. A couple of young players came on tonight, and maybe that's the way to go. And as we know, I always say with young players, they've got no fear. Just go with them sometimes.
I know you coached as well, the strikers, and that's the hardest bit of the game. Yeah. Now, if Cole Palmer does play, OK, I think most people would agree, and everyone watching at home is probably saying yes. Who steps out?
Well, this is why I'm trying, you know, like, as great as Saka's done for England, you know, with his creation in respect of goals and assists, you know, he's a natural left-sided player. You know, he started playing for England at left back. He started Arsenal at left back. I'm saying people might be saying, "Oh, we can't change him from there. He's doing so well." But if that's going to give the balance, and then you can get Cole Palmer in the team there, it's something that you have to at least look at. You know, I know what you're saying, so like Kyle Walker can play there, but we may have the same situation where we get a right-footed left-back who's coming inside and we've got no one going round. He's a natural left-footer, Saka. You know, we could activate the whole left side.
Look, it'd be brilliant to see him at left-back, but I think that's just... Gareth's not going to do that. I feel that what you may get him to do is put Kyle to left-back and then bring Trent Alexander-Arnold in on the right, who is obviously a brilliant, user of the ball on that right-hand side. That would be, I think, a good blend. Having Walker at right-back and Trippier at left-back means we're blocking a little bit both sides. I think having Trent on one side is probably the best we're going to get.
He's going to have to do something. He's going to have to do something different, because that second half, with the players that came on, it looked much better. It felt better.
Absolutely did.
Thank you, Mark. We were just here for the last 10-20 minutes and all of the England fans were still here, and they've just been filtered out. And as they've been filtered out, the families have actually been filtered in, obviously waiting to see their family members, the players, and they're sat just behind their cameras now. And the mood here is a little bit below par, I have to say. The mood of the fans, Karen, as soon as the game finished, they were really just to suck the life out of them, because the last maybe 20-25 minutes, it really erupted in here for the England fans for support for their team.
Well, I think the subs made a huge impact in that. I think the fans then saw the substitute 65 minutes. It got, noisy in here. It was like they're here. But I have to say, I think the stadium, myself and maybe everyone back home as well, we feel a little bit torn because we know it's not the performance that we want from this England team, but we still top the group. So we're kind of torn with that a little bit.
It's a difficult way to look at it, isn't it? Because you're right, the positives are we do top the group. Another positive being that we avoid a lot of those big top teams. And Gareth Southgate himself said we don't want to be seduced by that. But it's hard not to be when the performances have been how they are. You feel like they've come up a bit lucky to do that.
Yeah, potentially. I think for me, what I've come to realise is we're going to grind out results. I think that we look at our talented squad, and I think for me in particular, maybe people at home, is that we're not going to expect to blow people away. I don't think Gareth is going to play this expansive football. I think we're going to grind out results. And it might not be pleasant, it might not be the England team that we want, but if he can progress us in the way that he believes he can, that might be it. But there has been some things he's got to think about tonight, and the subs coming on was a factor. But listening to the guys in the studio about the back line, I don't think Gareth is going to disrupt that. I don't think he's going to disrupt that. I think the players that are going to come on as the game opens up, that's where we'll start to see some changes.
High praise all round for Mainoo and his impact. For you, does he start in the next game?
Absolutely. You know, we've tried Trent, we've tried Conor Gallagher. Yeah, it's been a long evening. We've tried Conor Gallagher, and it just hasn't worked. And I think it was going to be Cobby. I think he's more experienced than what he's coming on, so I think it was the right decision in the end.
Yeah. What about the question of Cole Palmer, because he's another one that came on, and I think he excites the fans as well with what he can do, and a lot of promise there in the small time that we did see him. Would you make space for him, and if so, the guys, who'd you pull out?
Look, of course, I would. I'd love to, honestly, but again, I'm putting myself in Gareth's shoes. I don't think he's going to do that. I think what we want isn't going to actually happen. I think we're going to see tight games, 60 minutes. Our magic players like him are going to come on and try and open the game up. It's going to be hard because Gareth will go to breakfast tomorrow morning and probably see him and go, how can I not pick him? How can I not start him? But I just don't see it. I think these subs are going to be our match winners, and I think they're going to come on 60 minutes and plus.
OK, right. Well, that is us signing off from Cologne. Back to you guys.
So Gareth Southgate probably already thinking about Sunday in Gelsenkirchen at 5 o'clock in the last 16. And you've had a year at Tottenham, obviously, and you've spent this evening with about 30 sort of English people watching this game. How would you characterise the relationship between the English public and their football team?
I think it's only natural that when there's such a strong association that, you know, the national football team represents them in so many ways, that when you haven't had success, there's always going to be a little bit of that love-hate kind of friction at all times, because there's such an anxiety there. You know, when things are going well, you're anxious. When things aren't going well, you're anxious. The key is in camp to stay away from that. You know, everyone, you've brought it up tonight, Gary brings it up, everyone talks about history, you know, what happened in '96, what happened. And the group that's going to win something, and they're going to leave that behind and just focus on what's in front of them.
So at the heart of it all is the fact that England haven't won anything. That's what drives it, isn't it? Which is what drives the anxiousness and the desire.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But that should be external. That's the fans, because they're so invested in it. You understand that. And it's natural for the players to get, you know, to feel hurt when, you know, criticism comes their way. But if they want to break that cycle, you can't repeat what's happened in the past. Gary said that before. They've been through it as players themselves. There's no point reflecting on what happened 10, 12, 15, 30 years ago. It's what's happening today that's important.
Yeah, I mean, you've lived in England a long time now. What have you made of it over the years? I mean, obviously playing with people like Gary and David Beckham and Paul Scholes and Nicky Butt and watching it since.
Yeah, I've obviously played with the lads who've been with England. It always seems obviously extremes, isn't it? They have a couple of good results. They're definitely going to win the tournament. Obviously, before the show tonight, we're in the final. All of a sudden, after the game, you're thinking, it's going to be a tough knockout game. Again, we go back to it, simplify it, focus on the next game. England have got a lot of unbelievably talented group of players, but that doesn't guarantee anything. You need a bit of luck, you need that team to come together, and you need your strikers turning up. They've not quite done that yet, but I think they're still going along nicely, and it'll be a threat.
Still so need some form of structure. We've got too many players who've played so well this season who are playing so poorly at the moment. There's something in the structure that's not quite right for him, and that's what Gareth needs to sort out. How he sorts it out, that's what he's getting paid for. But there's too many good players in his team playing poorly.
Yeah. I don't think necessarily England's any different, is it, to Spain or Italy or Germany or France? I think it's just they've won things. Do you think that's what the difference is? As I said earlier, I bet French TV and the French media are going absolutely mad this evening. They haven't scored a goal in open play and they've come second in their group. They're on the wrong side of the draw.
Mark, I was over in Spain for a very short period. They were brutal. And I suspect that if you spoke to her...
That was just a Valencia fan.
The rest of